What's going on, guys? We're going to do the standard routine here. Basically going to wait for some people to join in and start off with what's going on. First off, for those who are in the chat now, is the audio and video look okay for you guys? Give a thumbs up if it is all good. What's going on, Eric? Mom? Jeff? What's going on, guys? Bruno? Audio is good. Sweet. Yeah, gonna wait here for a moment just to build some more audience. I got some good things on this video for you guys. Some updates, some new things on our cars, some new bodies, Nationals recap, upcoming events, hottest setup stuff we're working on, and what we have plans for the future. So seems like we got a good group of guys in. Which is pretty awesome to see. What's going on, everybody? Wendell, Jacob, Mitch, Jeff, Frank, Kevin's in the house. Sweet. Well, it looks like we got a good crew going here on a Tuesday. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I figured I've been trying to change it up since we started these live videos during the weekends, all different times, just to kind of get a different group of people in. That race across the world, whether it's in Australia, here in the US, Asia, the UK, Europe. So it looks like we got a good group of people in here, and kind of want to start off talking about the Roar Nats. So yeah, basically for those who didn't go to the Roar Nats, LCRC is basically one of the better 8-skill tracks that we have probably in the nation. Not to mention the crew that they have there with Kevin and his wife do an amazing job. The track's big. It's always high speed. Gets a little bit dusty, but that's kind of like their going trait that they have there. It does get grooved up. And basically for the Roar Nationals, we got a good group of guys that went there for the warm-up. Did some good testing, tire testing. They ran blues earlier on in practice, blues in qualifying, and then aquas in the main. Pretty much that was exactly how it ended up being at the Nationals. Personally, I got a little bit off on a little bit of a tire rant on just trying a little bit of some crazy stuff. Car setup was pretty standard traditionally with what we've been running this whole year. But overall, I personally had a good weekend. I wish I would have done a little bit better in the finals, but a lot of people didn't make the finals. Had some troubles making it in. Some crazy disqualification stuff happened during that event with Ty and Cole's tank not passing tech, or post tech for that matter. So a lot of crazy stuff going on. But I want to talk to you about some of the main Triggy and Nitro Buggy setups that we've been working on. I believe Brent had posted some setup sheets on Team Associated's website of Inhorn setup sheet from the Roar Nats, which he got second in, and my Truggy setup that we ran at the Nationals. I got fourth in. I actually qualified in the B main due to some weather coming in. I wasn't able to run their last qualifier. So the Nationals was a little hectic for me. I definitely didn't get that good of a rhythm in at the beginning, but pushed hard and did the best I could at the end, and finished with fourth place in Truggy, sixth place in Buggy. So basically for those who want to see those latest setup sheets, I would say Ed and I ran very similar stuff in Truggy. A couple of us ran a couple of different things, specifically with diff oils and so forth at the Nationals and Nitro Buggy. So you'll be able to see like the different kind of viscosity diff oils that we ran, Eden and I. So it seemed like when the track was really high speed, what was preferred was like the blue soft compound tire, but a little bit thicker diff oil. I went on to the route of thinner diff oil but with a harder compound tire. So I would say my car at the beginning of the final was definitely something that was a little bit looser, didn't have as much grip at the beginning, but in the middle, the end of the race, it was really, really strong. But I think I may have missed a little bit of the setup and tire selection for the quickness at the beginning of the event. I was looking a little bit more long term. So that was just a mistake on my part, but I think easily could have gone both ways and done pretty well. So, but it seemed like for the guys that were running the Nitro Buggy with the thicker diff oils, obviously equivalent to how much traction there is available. But for those who race 8 scale and you feel like your car kind of doesn't turn, it kind of pushes a little bit, it skids when you get into the 180s. Typically, you can go to a lighter diff fluid setup front, center, and rear just to get the car to kind of just free up in the corners. Sometimes with the thicker diff oils, if there is enough grip, I've noticed also that the thicker diff oils actually slow down the corner speed because it's actually like stopping the car, slowing down in the corners. When you go into the corner and you carve, the thicker diff oils actually acts like brakes for that matter. Even if you're not on the brakes, it's kind of like a rejuvenated like scrub feeling. So definitely it's definitely a fine balance. And for those who are not really sure what direction they should go, in my opinion, I've learned it from Richard Saxon, is kind of just go for the extreme. Go really thin, try that, and then go really thick, and just see how it is on your local track. So, and you'll kind of feel the difference, I think, and really feel that what works best for your local track. So as far as different setup stuff that was going on, we pretty much stuck to the script of setup changes. Didn't do nothing really crazy. When qualifying and main started, we went off a little bit off the path on buggy setup with trying a little bit of a shorter link just to get the car to turn. For whatever reason, LCRC, the car just didn't want to turn. That's why I like the C-Hub cars kind of had some good speed. For instance, like Dakota or Cavallari or Cole Ogden with the Hot Bodies car. But as you can see, as the track progressed, changed a little bit, built a little bit of character. And then, of course, when the rain came in, really packed in the track and changed it a lot. So for those who are in the chat right now, if you guys have any questions regarding 8 scale, 10 scale, I'm just chatting kind of a brief download of the Roar Nationals. So I see that we have 80 people in here. I appreciate you guys tuning in, seeing what's going on. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your Tuesday so far. Should be a good week, 3-day weekend, hopefully for the most of you guys with 4th of July. But yeah, one of the new things to my racing program, or at the Nationals we debuted, was the new J Concepts Truggy body, for that matter. This is something that's I wasn't sure if we were ever going to get one. I didn't even know that we were getting one for the Nationals, and I have to say that I was super impressed with the new body. I'm not really sure what J Concept is going to call it, but the way that this body works on the Truggy changes dramatically of how you drive the truck. It seems like you don't kind of have to whip it around as much just to get it to rotate. With the shock tower being exposed to the front end, you really get to see the front suspension work dramatically more. So typically what we saw at the Nationals with all these trucks working, like when I was watching Mayfield's or Dakota or my truck, the front end was working a lot. And we were able to tune the truck a little bit differently to carry some different kind of steering adjustments with the shock oil or spring. And then on top of that, the jumping and handling difference from the traditional body to the new truck bodies. it really makes a big difference of jumping a lot lower, being able to carry more steering feel. I feel like I had more steering feel. I wouldn't say I necessarily had more steering, but the way that you were able to help it see the front end, dive into the corner, pick up under acceleration, it really changed your braking points and your throttle points. So it actually just felt more like a buggy. So going back and forth, it didn't feel so dramatic. So we have some people tuning in here. Awesome to see. So that was pretty much the download with the new truck body. Stay tuned to see it from J Concepts. They'll be making it for the Associated truck, the Mugen truck, and the Aloshi truck. The same body fits on all three, and I believe they're also working on another one for the Techno truck. So definitely stay tuned. It's going to be a game changer. Roar allowed it at the Nationals, and if they do change it, then I think all these other races that we race at during the whole year, like the Silver State, the Nitro Challenge, the Wicked Weekend, Psycho Nitro Blast, AMS, those bodies will all definitely be allowed. So definitely keep an eye out. So we're gonna kind of go through some questions here and see what's going on. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We got 100 views right now, which is pretty awesome to see. Yeah, D7 Racing. Yeah, I should have went lighter on the diffs too. Jason Chavez, can you post your last 10 scale race setup? I believe it's posted on rc10.com from OCRC, but I could be wrong. I would definitely double check that. Jay's asking, what is my next race? Yeah, so I guess we can kind of talk about some of the races that I have coming up. My next race is actually next week, not this coming weekend, the following weekend at Hobby Action Raceway for the J Concepts INS race. It's where we had it for a few years now, doing the INS series races. Is something that I've been doing since I've started racing 10 scale. It's definitely helped me become a better driver. You get to see like the local talent, the regional side, and then of course now it's taken a whole nother level and the full factory drivers come out and race these events. So this weekend we'll have I believe Dustin Evans is coming, Cavallari, Mayfield will be there, and then a few other guys I heard are coming out. So it should be a pretty good event. Of course, our local crew at Hobby Action, the fast stock guys we have that are coming down, and then of course with Larry Tom running the place and the people that they have, the crew, which has been awesome. So looking forward to seeing you guys in the next week or so, doing some practicing on the practice days and hammering out in the mains. So for those who are in the chat, let me know what kind of races you guys are going to and what races that I should be looking into going for the remaining of the year. It seems like we have a good amount of races left. After the INS event, I'm going to be traveling with Mayfield to the E-Nationals, which is at SS Hobbies in Tampa, Florida. That should be an awesome event. I think we were talking about the close racing that it's going to be. It's a smaller track for 8 scale, but I mean, I think it'll see who has the raw speed of going for it. It's going to be interesting racing some Truggy out there, E-Truggy. We typically only race E-Truggy once a year, so there's always like people flying off the track or breaking stuff. But on the bright side, I know with the hobby wing side of things, we've been really focusing on our new 8-scale electronics, the reliability and the drivability that our new system has. I believe I have one right here. This is our new system. Just got released not too long ago. And the that's going to be, we've been rocking that in our cars for the whole year so far. We've had some pre-production samples that we were running towards the beginning of the year and the end of last year. So as far as the development side of things go, we've been pretty astonished how amazing it is and how close it is to the 10 scale stuff. Given that the 8 scale electronics is a 4-pole motor and the 2-wheel drive is a 2-pole motor, so as far as braking, acceleration, and the sensor wires, it all kind of works a little bit differently. But with the good crew that we have at Hobby Wing back at the factory and everything that they do, I'm pretty stoked to go to the ENATs with good confidence in the equipment. So for those who are going to be traveling there that have any electronics questions regarding whether you run Reedy, Hobby Wing, Tekin, or whatever, gearing questions, feel free to ask me if you need any help. Seems like I saw that the entry count was a little bit low for the E-Nationals. I actually understand a little bit kind of what's going on, just given that it's a high entry fee and for not a lot of running, given the track's a little bit smaller. People kind of like going to the Psycho Nitro Blast or the AMSs to get their fix in V-Buggy. But it seems like out south or east, it seems like E-Buggy is hands down like the biggest class. So if you're going to be getting into some 8-scale racing, I would definitely check out getting an E-Buggy. Feeling it out with how it drives, working and tuning with the car, and getting the feel for the depth perception at these different 8-scale tracks. Definitely a big difference. I know we just got a shipment in of 8-scale vehicles not too long ago. I'm not sure if they're out of stock again, but they've been selling like wildfire. So if you're looking or wanting to get another car, definitely want to put your name on one before they're completely gone again. We have some questions coming in. People, so I am doing dual video live, I guess you should say, one on YouTube, one on Facebook. So I have a couple questions coming in from both YouTube and Facebook. So the Turf Nats, I'm not sure if I'm going to be going to the Turf Nationals. I will have to check with my schedule and with BT on what's going on. So we have some people in here from Spain. What's going on, man? Mark Moon's in the house. Hey, Spencer, hope you're doing well. Hopefully you can stop in Georgia soon and come run with us at Loganville. Good luck at the ENATs. Mark, yes, I saw the way you guys have been doing, adding a ton more dirt. I definitely want to make a stop, maybe hang out with Jackson out there and race at Loganville, maybe do a couple of races down south, and see you guys. So we have James in the house. What's going on, man? Cody Wichman. I will be at Hobby Action for the JC race, so looking forward to seeing you there, man. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to come up and ask. Mel's in the house. What's going on, guys? So, yeah, I wanted to kind of show you kind of my E-Buggy. I got my E-Buggy kind of all dialed in for the E-Nationals. As you can see, I got the new latest and greatest hubs that we just released. This is something that I've been super stoked about with running. J-Concept's body, J-Concept's wing. So, yeah, I didn't put a new chassis on my E-Buggy. As you can see, like I kind of gauge the chassis off by if there's a couple millimeters left, then it's definitely still runnable for me. I am going to take my body off to kind of show some of you guys a couple little speed tips that we've done to the E-Buggy as far as like the electronic setup. As you can see, I have my battery moved back. So I have this little shim right here in the front. It's 10 millimeter shim. Shell actually sells it, which what it does is you have to drill a hole, put it in, and what happens, it pushes the battery back. So on top of that, you'll need to actually remove the wall right here in the back. And what that does, pushes the battery all the way back. And then I put a stopper. This is actually a B74 C mount that I drilled into the bottom of the chassis, or excuse me, the bottom of the radio tray. So it basically just holds the battery in place. So there used to be a wall there. I have so this is basically what it is. This is my Triggy. So I didn't have another one of those shell mounts, so I used like a block, 10mm block, pushed the battery back. And what I did was I took off this wall that's usually right here, or it's actually more in front of the battery. It's more like right here. So it pushes the battery all the way back. Then I added a C mount, put 2 screws in right there, so it kind of protects the ESC from the battery blowing all the way back to it. And then loaded up my ESC, the Hobby Advanced XR8 Pro, and I used like the Kyosho rubber grip double-sided tape, so it's pretty squishy. It won't kind of damage the ESC if you land a big jump pretty big. So that's the kind of the biggest common thing that I see. People have problems with their ESC. They don't know it, like, shuts off on them when they land big jumps, or they said that they didn't do nothing and it just shut off on the track. Sometimes with these jumps, I mean, the cars just land so hard, and the force that it goes through and the energy that goes through the shocks, the chassis, the arms, that has to take some sort of absorption. So it goes straight into the electronics. It damages the tray, the motherboard. So using the gel, it just helps, so there's not so much force on the ESC. I even use it on the receivers too. And actually, in all my 8-scale cars, I use that stuff in all of them. So D7 Racing, 70 Racing, I will go through the ESC stuff. I actually could do a post. Once I get all my e-buggy and e-truggy stuff done and built, I will do a setup sheet for the electronics on my personal or my racing page, so you guys can see what's going on. And then I'll have also Hobby Wings share it. And hopefully that will help out for your local running. So that's how I wire it. The reason why we push the battery back towards the rear of the car is this to simply take a little bit of the weight off the front end. Given that this is the bigger battery, the e-buggies are always really heavy, and the weight bias from front to rear in comparison to the 8-scale Nitro buggy is way off, or way different for that matter. So doing this, moving the battery back 10mm, definitely puts a big dent in making the weight bias more similar to the Nitro buggy. The Nitro buggy, I think it definitely is superior for how good it handles. One is the weight distribution front and rear, and then of course with the Nitro buggy, it has a clutch. It makes it really smooth. But like I said, we've had some really big development stuff with the new ESC and the motor combo and gearing setup that we're running to make it very, very comparable with the two. Eric, I don't use corner scales. I mean, I do use corner scales, yes. That's how I kind of gauge what's been going on with the weight bias. I mean, I really don't look at the corners. I really just look at the front and rear bias, and then you can kind of get the number by doing that. So that is something that I do. Only when I feel like when it's something of different vehicles or different, or trying to figure out setup stuff. But that's not something that's super common in my program. It's just pretty obvious given that the battery is substantially heavy, the heaviest thing in the car. It's just different than the Nitro car, and that's just something that we're comparing it to make it the same, or as close to the same as possible. So I go back and forth with both the Shorty ProTech 4-cell. The reason why I have the bigger battery in my buggies right now in my truck is because at the Roar Nationals you can't charge to the high volt cell rating, which is the 8.6, I believe, at like the Psycho Nitro Blasts, AMSs, and so forth. You can charge to the proper rating that the battery says you can charge at. But given that you can only charge to 8.4, the shorty pack 4-cell might have runtime complications. So I'm just doing it just for more peace of mind to do as much warm-up laps as I can, given that it is going to be a smaller track and a lot of grip. Will be on the gas a lot. So I have tested the Shorty 4S in the e-buggies, and I think it is really good. Like I said, I was just explaining about the Roar Nationals. You can't charge to the high volt charging that the batteries can charge nowadays. So what that means is if you can't charge that high, then there's less milliamps in the battery. And runtime is always kind of questionable, especially if there's a lot of grip and as far as how many warm-up laps you want to do, because the mains are 10 minutes. Right. Yeah, so as far as the e-buggy stuff goes, that's kind of like what we look for. I mean, when I'm at some of these races, I don't even charge the high volt batteries because I simply just either run the 6500 battery, or if I think that I need a little bit less weight in the car, then I'll go the shorty and then I'll charge to the high voltage. That's preferred. So just all depends. So we have some questions coming in. See what we got. So Wayne, I think you're maybe asking the 2 millimeters cut off the eyelet. Are you explaining? Is that from the 10 scale side of things? Maybe clarify what you're exactly asking. Wayne RC. Benjamin James would love to make a guest appearance at my home track. Spencer, Coastal RC, and VA. I'm looking to run super stock or super spec 25.5 buggy class Cleveland in December. How should I be looking at gear and motor in my B6.2? 25.5 gearing, man, I don't even know where I would start with that. I'm familiar with the 17.5 gearing. The best thing that I would do is I would just for sure double check to see if there's not a standard gear ratio that you have to run at that race. There might be some sort of regulation on the gear ratio. So double check that. And then if there is, it's an open gear ratio, then I would definitely look at the locals that are racing that class just to give you a good judgment. You might be in the same boat with a lot of other people of not knowing what gearing to start with. So double check that. I'm sorry I wasn't able to answer that question. As I've only been doing I've been doing a little bit of 17.5 running and testing some motors for Hobby Wing, figuring out gearing and so forth. But as far as the 25.5 buggy class in Cleveland, I have no idea. Yeah, the 25. So we have a couple questions coming about the hubs. The hubs that we just released from on the 8 scale side is a pretty slick design with the different towers that you can change that Kimberlink height, length at the same time, and then of course you have the standard hub height that's been traditional on the other aluminum hubs that we have. The old aluminum hubs are kind of limited to long and short length. With the new hubs, you have the ability to adjust the height 2 steps lower and 2 steps longer. So you have basically 5 or 6 more hole adjustments. Let me check. Actually, 1, 2. You actually have 7 more hole adjustments to changing the height of the camber link and the length. So you can really fine tune your car for the specific tracks. And this gives us the ability to get what we've been wanting at a couple of different track conditions for the right geometry. And we've definitely utilized it and done very well. Like, for instance, the Silver State, I ran the middle height tower on the rear hubs and was really, really good. Wayne RC, on the 8 scale e-buggy, cut off 2 millimeters off the rear eyelet. That is actually not true. I heard that the Mugen guys have cut their rear eyelet 2 millimeters. We don't have to do that because we have a taller tower on the associated vehicles, and kind of making the tower taller or cutting the eyelet adds up travel. So you can do either or. So our cars are already kind of dialed in with that. Yes, I am sliding the LiPo battery back also on the Triggy. So it looks like we have some good people tuning in. We were just explaining about the Triggy and e-buggy stuff, electronics. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 110 views on Tuesday morning. So sounds like a lot of you guys aren't really working at the moment. Hopefully you guys don't get in trouble. Benjamin, do you know what gearing I should run a trackside 13.5 hobby wing? I would probably run 78, 24, 23, somewhere in that ballpark. Break time. James, yes, I was just talking about the DQs that happened in Pennsylvania. I had a great time in Pennsylvania. Amazing people over there. The track crew at LCRC is phenomenal. But yeah, the DQs that happened were pretty crazy. Obviously, Cole and Ty had a very good semi performance. Unfortunately, there are rules to racing, and they didn't pass the requirements for that. It's just unfortunate. I know they weren't doing it on purpose. Runtime was pretty bad there anyways. No one was going to be way over on the top of everyone else. So it is definitely unfortunate. I'm sure that they would have done very well if they were in the final. But there are protocols, there are rules, and you have to obey them. I know the whole associated team early on in practice day were having some. We were pre-teching to ensure that we were good for the weekend, and there was a lot of trouble that we were having with a lot of our customers and racers there, and including myself. We had to do everything we could to make the tanks pass. We had to add a bunch of or just our standard block that we put in to make the tank legal, and we did that. We teched a couple of times. We got tech during qualifying, and it passed. So during qualifying, they were taking random vehicles to tech after qualifying. So maybe those guys never got teched during the qualifying, and then I'm sure that they did maybe do some pre-tech stuff before the event started, and they passed. But to be honest with you, the event went on and it got a lot hotter. Sunday was the hottest day by a mile, so it's possible after the long run the tank can easily expand, and yeah, it's unfortunate. Mark Moon, Wayne RC, how did you like the Mip Bypass Pistons? When I ran them back in the day, I thought they were good. I'm actually currently running the 5-hole pistons that Shell makes. He just posted them on his website and his Instagram and Facebook page, so definitely go check out that. I run 5-hole pistons. That's what I like. So definitely check it out. Talk to us about what you would do different if you could return the Nitro Buggy main again for the Aiden Horn on his car versus your car. Do you feel that he had a better car for the particular main? Mark, yeah, that is a good question. Obviously, Aiden drove very well. I feel like I didn't really have that great of a driving main, so definitely some fault on my end. Yeah, I definitely wish I can go back and change a couple things on some tire and setup stuff. But basically, I ran aqua compound in the main. Mayfield ran blue compound. I tested the aqua compound and blue compound in the semi practice, and for the way my car was set up with a lighter fluid, the blue compound made the car really edgy to drive. They had a lot of grip, too much grip, where the car was using a lot of its suspension travel, and it was just ended up too hard to drive for the high speed tracks. But when I put on the aqua compound, the car had less grip, but good grip enough where I was able to drive around the track. It was easy to drive. I think if I could go back, I would probably run the blue compound, but with a thicker diff oil. Aiden ran thicker diff oil than me. I believe he ran S3s. So definitely a fine balance. My car in the main pushed quite a bit. I didn't have as much steering as I needed to carve around the corners. But as far as my car being easy to drive, it was very easy to drive. That's to the point where I was driving so hard to get it to steer that I would crash on my own. And I kind of overlooked the benefits of starting on the faster compound, making the car just fast to drive and backing down my driving. That's typically how I drive my 10-skill cars and kind of where my success comes from. So that's actually where I would go back and change. Maybe that kind of helps you guys comprehend how I was tuning my car. So there's definitely a couple ways to tune it. So that's kind of where I was at. I did do a debrief with the team. Analyze the event myself. Went back and watched some film, and yeah, you kind of missed it a little bit. I feel like a track like that was definitely my kind of style. I feel like I underperformed, but I feel like with all the effort that we've been putting in this year, myself and Kurt and some of the other guys on the team, I've contributed a lot of time and testing for the team, like Aiden and Cole and Ryan Pavitas to do, Jackson to do as good as we possibly can. And we had 4 AE cars in the main. Definitely never have had that ever in 8 scale. So I give myself and the team a pat on the back. I thought that was definitely successful for us. So I didn't do as good as I wanted to, but at the same time, I took a lot of appreciation with what we were all able to accomplish as a team, doing very well, and I think that's what's the bigger picture here. So, moving along with that, true or false, stadium trucks are more fun than buggies. That is definitely on the false side. Stadium trucks are just a lot more difficult to drive, especially in modified. If you're racing 17.5 or 13.5, I would definitely say it's more fun than running mod. But buggies are definitely more superior, better to drive, faster to drive, and yeah, hands down. Robert's asking, what do you do to your pillow balls in between qualifying if they are sticky, or do you just rebuild if you have enough time? I don't really notice anything of the pillow balls being sticky unless you're tightening the pillow ball nut too tight. I know there are times where I do know what you're talking about. I know there are people that put like wax or some sort of oil in the pillow balls to get it to be free, but I definitely disagree with that. So I feel like as far as having good quality, I feel like the associated arm and plastic material doesn't have any like stiction, and having the hard anodized pillow ball and steel pillow ball, there shouldn't be any friction kind of happening unless there's like actually mud and water going in there. Then for sure, then I would definitely double check. But for most of the tracks that we run on, it's pretty standard. No issues with that. Brandon, have you posted a setup sheet from LCRC? Would be interested in. There were a few setup sheets posted on rc10.com. I believe Aiden Horn's setup sheet was posted, and my Triggy setup. So definitely check out those and hammer away. I think you'll be pretty happy. Aiden and I ran pretty much very similar setups, but minus a couple of diff oil stuff and rear pivot width, but we're pretty much all on the same page. Man, I appreciate you guys tuning in. We've had good viewership through this whole live video. People tuning in on my YouTube and having a good time. Got a good starting setup for the B6.2 for Astro. What Schumacher cut Swagger front mini tire spike in the rear. I've been running. I haven't been running much AstroTurf, but I would definitely check out our new carpet tires that J Concepts released this year. We have a very good selection of stuff for you to go out and run and figure out what you like. We have a few questions here I'm going to answer. Okay, so do you run X-rings or O-rings in your shocks? An 8 scale, it's just an O-ring, and the 10 scale, we run the X-ring. That is what's preferred. It's the only thing kind of that we offer. D70 Racing, thanks, man. I appreciate you tuning in. I've seen you a couple times on here, so definitely appreciate the fan base. Cody Witchman, talk about your 2-wheel drive. Well, what do you want to know? I've been actually did a little bit of 17.5 buggy running a month or two ago with Mayfield at Hobby Action, and was tuning a little bit with some motor power, speed control settings for 17.5 stock racing, and then along with that, I was tuning with some of the B6.3 parts, with our new car that we just released. And for those who are running the new B6.3 stuff, we do have a new shock eyelet, is the +4. It's like the gray ball cup looking color. If you don't run, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people kind of got confused when we did that, but that is definitely a shock eyelet that you should be running, especially if you're running a long eyelet on your old B6.2, definitely be running the +4. You run the same number. So if you run 29 millimeters of droop, you run the +4 eyelet with 29 millimeters of droop. The reason why you have to run that longer eyelet is because the tower height changed a little bit, but the pivot got so much wider and the arms got shorter. So what ends up happening, the shocks got more spread out, and you need a longer travel to get the same droop in the rear of the car as before. If everything was really narrow, the pivot would be narrow, so you would have more leverage on the shock to get the droop. So my 2-wheel drive, as you can see, kind of the droop, what I'm running. This is kind of my car's kind of ready to rip for the J Concepts INS. Rocking the 7-inch J Concept wing. This is something that it's my new standard for sure on 2-wheel drive. It's a 7-inch carpet wing. F2 body. It's pretty standard. Got the J Concepts front wing. And then I don't know if you guys see, but I do have like the motor J Concept screws that he released for the motor mount for the two-wheel drive. But I use them for the motor mount. I use them for the front wing mounts. I even use them if you run on the 8-scale, the front wings for the upper arm for the pillowball car. I use them for that too, just to kind of add a little bit more of the bling bling. But I'll show you. I have something new on my car that just got released from J Concepts. It's the new J Concepts battery tray with the rubber seal. This is something that I've been wanting for a long time now for our car, just for the matter of the fact of just the flex, having the ability to have a battery in there in place, but not like super locked down, but basically in there so it can move and flex with the chassis roll. Not to mention the looks of it, that I believe he calls it like the battery cage or the battery net. So it holds the battery in place really, really nicely. He just got released it. We have like, I don't know, 7 or 8 different colors: black, blue, purple, or black, blue, pink. Yeah, purple, I think, white. There's a bunch of different colors, but I chose the black one. Kind of, it's pretty slick, and as you can see, the outer ridge is still carbon fiber. So I would definitely say this is a huge upgrade. If you wanted to do something with the way the car flexes, it should land better, jump better, probably add a little bit more traction, maybe a little bit more steering. So definitely check that out. As you can see, like I have the motor mount J Concept screws in black right there. So got the +1 HT steering plates that just got released. So if you haven't checked that out, then definitely something you're going to want to. So yeah, that's my two-wheel drive buggy. And then my four-wheel drive, kind of pretty standard. My four-wheel drive at OCRC was like ridiculously good. So I'm pretty stoked to rip and grip with this thing at Hobby Action. Nothing really new with the four-wheel. It's kind of my latest and greatest stuff. Still running the outside hole in the arm with the 2-hole 1.8 pistons, or 2-hole 1.7 pistons in the front with 42 weight. So definitely check that out. I believe the setup sheet is posted. It's probably from the CRC Midwest Championship. It's kind of what I've been rocking. Yeah, Cody, the battery brace, the cargo net is badass for sure. Probably maybe one day I gotta talk to Jason about doing one for the four-wheel drive. Currently, I just double-sided tape my battery in a four-wheel drive just to kind of get really lightweight. But I'm sure Jason can make a pretty slick mount for the four-wheel drive, so you can just the cargo net it in. Let's see what else we got. If you have any questions, we have some time still left. 108 views. If you guys are tuned in, if you don't mind giving it a thumbs up or a like, just to kind of share it to some of your friends that maybe want to watch it later on. That only helps me out. And maybe one of these next videos will do a giveaway for whoever shares these videos the most. Just trying to get it out to as many people as possible to help out. So let's see what else we got. Nice. OCRC is my local track. Thank you for sharing, Spencer. Tommy P. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you tuning in. What's up, Nick? Appreciate you tuning in. We were just talking about some upgrades for the B6.3. We're talking about the J Concepts Cargo Net, some setup stuff. Got the new HT steering plates, the +1s on my 2-wheel drive. We were talking about, for those who are kind of tuning in late, the new Truggy body. Pretty slick design. I definitely want to thank everyone at J Concepts for the innovation that they do and put in. And a big shout out to the guys at Associated for helping out with the team at the Nationals and giving us the best product possible to go out there and do the best we can. So will I be traveling or tour this year outside the US, Japan maybe? Man, I'd love to go to Japan or anywhere outside the US just to kind of explore a little bit. Especially as far as on the radar, I don't think that we will be doing anything. But if there was an event that's happening out that way, I would love to go and check it out. So what is my shock package for my e-buggy? Yeah, so I have 5-hole pistons in. The front piston, I have 3 holes to 1.4, 2 holes to 1.5 with 42 weight. The rear piston is 3 holes to 1.5 and 2 holes to 1.6 with 40 weight. Mike's in the house. You come into Hobby Action tomorrow night. I won't be going to Hobby Action tomorrow night. This whole week I'm gonna be kind of prepping for the Nationals, the E-Nationals. I'm gluing my 10-skill tires to the right over here. So I got a lot of prepping to do. We'll have plenty of practice. I'll be there Wednesday and Thursday, Friday for practice, or Thursday and Friday for practice. There'll be tons of practice. Let the track kind of groove in. Let Jim Silva get his big win tomorrow night in stock buggy, and brace it out. So, what's going on, Jim? Hopefully, you guys are having a good time there in Hobby Action. Seems like you guys have been putting in some good work out there. Wayne RC, yeah, we do have some new springs in the works for the 8-scale. They are going to be really, really good. No more using hot body springs. I think they're going to be awesome. So hopefully we can get that taken care of and out for you guys as soon as possible. So we will have so currently our softest spring that we make right now is white. We will have black, a black spring, another green spring, or a green spring, and brown. Those will be our options. Davey Bada. What's up, man? Looks like you guys been racing a ton out there. As far as bumpy tracks, I haven't ran on a super bumpy track in a long time, but honestly, the standard shock package for 2-wheel drive, I just run 1.6, 1.7 front piston with 32, and then 2-hole 1.7s with 30 weight. I mean, that is pretty good standard. If you wanted to try something different, maybe try 3-hole 1.4 pistons in the front, 3-hole 1.4 pistons in the rear. Maybe try a tapered piston in the rear. Maybe try drilling an extra hole in the rear to 1.0. So it'd actually be a 4-hole piston, but 3 of the holes are 1.4, and then 1 of the holes drilled out to 1.0. Definitely give that a try. And then I would just stick with the standard 3230 shock oil. Raymond is asking, with the new Team Associated's new builder's kit, do you plan on building any conversion kits with it? Possibly a sprint car, run the RC Gold Cups in September 11th. Yeah, I saw that release actually at the Nationals. Brent was telling me about it, and I think it's super awesome. It's pretty brilliant to do, especially for those who are doing conversion kits with their cars that don't want to spend all the money up front for a B6.2 or B6.3 for that matter, and then convert it for a drag car, especially since you change the chassis, the side rails, and so forth. People are just looking for the front end and the rear end. I think it's awesome. I think the price point's awesome. It just makes a lot of sense. As far as for me, I don't know if I can add any more races into my schedule. I do a lot of racing already. We have plans to do a lot of development stuff here at the end of the year for some new stuff coming up that I'm pretty excited for. And just do some car testing and so forth, just to help with my personal side of racing. So, yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at with the conversion side. I'll go to the track every now and then, the drag track, and play with someone's car. But at the moment, I thought I was going to be pretty hardcore into it. But at the moment, I got a lot of stuff going on. I definitely also want to start doing my YouTube videos again, which I've been pretty bad about doing. It seems like my YouTube channel does really well with the videos that I currently have, and there's so many videos that I have done I need to edit and have in place to post. So, what's up, Koba? Nice seeing you, man. On here, looking forward to seeing you in person again soon. I'm doing good, and I appreciate you tuning in. I have a 4600 LCG ProTech battery, but I'm thinking of upgrading. Yeah, I run the 4600 in my four-wheel drive. So I'm not sure what you mean by upgrading. So Nick, running the B6.3 and really enjoying it, considering trying the wider C and D blocks on my ST Stadium truck. Thoughts? I can tell you right now it's not going to work because I know where you're coming from, but you need to run a longer bone. And it is something that we are in the process of testing and developing to see if that's actually a direction that we want to head down. So kind of funny you brought that up. Joel is asking, are you V-cutting the foams in your 1/10 scale always, or is it track dependent? I'd never V-cut my foams traditionally for the high grips tracks. I will say, maybe Davey Bada, this will be something also too. There was one track earlier this year, the CRC Midwest Championship, that gets pretty bumpy. And the grip's high, but not like it is high. You run slicks, it's like you can traction roll. But the foams, if it's too stiff, it doesn't go through the bumps that good. And I think that foams act like shocks. So if it's really stiff, sometimes it could be really rigid to drive. So if you have a softer foam, it can help with some comfort and some smoothness. But typically with any sort of slick track, the harder the foam, the better. As far as corner speed, the way I've always looked at it is if you try riding your bicycle around the block with a flat tire versus a pumped up tire, and the pumped up tire would equal harder foam. So looks like that's going to cover it for us, guys. We've went through a lot of questions. I'm starving. It's lunchtime, or it's 11 o'clock here. I'm starving for lunch, but appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys have any other questions you want to message me privately, I'll be more than happy to do my best to respond. So once again, thanks you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions, if you see me at the track, don't hesitate to come up, message me on Facebook or Instagram or even YouTube, and we'll see you guys on the next one. So enjoy, guys. Stay safe out there and enjoy your 4th of July weekend. See ya.